this is a different kind of video that I'm not really used to making, but I think it could be somewhat useful to someone younger than me who's starting off their career or starting off life outside of school, And I'm just talking about finance and, stocks and how to build wealth, outside of school, especially as a young person, you know. And it all comes down to managing funds, managing your money, writing down, noting down all the different things that, you're spending money on, setting limits for all sorts of different ways, When you get your paycheck, you need to set a limit on, let's say, for food, for rent, for utilities and car, for fun activities, and then savings. First of all, that's the basics. I know it's a super basic concept, but I think a lot of people, they just fail generally because of that. I know a lot of it can be due to cost of living, and that's tough, that's life. But there's two ways to go around that. You either get a qualification in some sort of way, or you do something else to gain an extra income. There's no real other way around it. If you're just going to sit there and complain that you don't earn enough money, therefore you can never save, then we'll have fun being stuck like that forever, But even if you can get $50 a week and you're putting that in the S&P 500 and you just fully leave that over the course of a decade, you're going to have a large amount of money. And I can't say off the top of my head, but let's just say $50 a week times 50 weeks a year, that's 2.5 grand. You put that in for 10 years and then you get that return every year, that would probably be close to 50 grand. You'd have to guess over the course of 10 years. And then the more you keep doing that, I'd hope by the end of 10 years, you're able to at least up that to $100 or $150 a week. And it keeps snowballing over the course of your lifetime. By the time you're 65, you'll have over $1 million if you continue that up, And that's just such a small, insignificant amount of money, Obviously, by the time you're 65, $1 million won't be as much as it is worth now. But that's why, of course, I'm saying you need to increase that amount you're putting in over time, so it can also increase more and more and more. And your income will also increase with inflation, so there's nothing really to worry about in that sense. But regardless, setting out goals of what you need to do, what you're spending your money on is the first step, and it's crucial. You need to know where your money's going. If you're just spending your money on useless crap, you need to be aware of it, My first year out of school, I would just spend money on stuff, and I wasn't aware of where that money's going, and then I'd look at my bank account at the end of the month and be like, what the hell, where's all my savings going to? And it's all these things, you just don't think about it, you're not aware of it. You need to document. This is why companies, they are documenting every bit of money that's going into where it's going, and that's how they're able to stay on top of their finances. And I know you're just a person with your own income, but managing these funds is extremely important if you want to get richer, I would say I'm reasonably wealthy for my age, and I've done that by saving and setting out these lines or these goals for each individual, spreading out my money to where it needs to be and make sure my savings stays in my savings, I've traveled a crap ton since I've been out of school. I've been out of school for 4 years. I've spent $25,000 on traveling, and I'm able to save over 70 too. So that's over $25,000 of savings each year, alongside with having to pay $180 for rent, spending $150 for food because I've been eating a lot of food. And, I'd say that's quite efficient, and I'm able to do that by, setting these lines. I know how much I'm meant to save, and I know to not touch that. So when I run out of the money that I've set aside for eating out and for going out and doing stuff with mates, then I just have to take it easier, instead of going out to some place, we'll just go and hang out at somebody's house. And instead of going out and eating takeaways, we'll just cook something at home, There are ways to, and when you follow all these rules, you're able to build up this rhythm of building up money, And in terms of for stocks, I think buying stocks and what sort of stocks depends on you specifically. I'm not a stock expert whatsoever, But I think that any beginner should definitely just start off buying S&P 500 or any any ETFs, any index funds, you know, and they will build wealth safely, and it'll also be quite efficient. And I think that if you want to grow more money, you just adventure with more stocks. What you'll find is these experts are not really experts. They cannot predict a stock. You'll see these people be like, this is why, for these reasons why this stock's going to go up, and they'll actually convince you. It'll sound like, oh my god, there's all these reasons why this stock is going to go crazy in 2025. But in reality, it's absolute bollocks. It almost never is that way. And I've gotten my best returns by just thinking like, oh yeah, this is a good company, I should invest in them. And then boom, they blow up, like Nvidia, Apple, Tesla, all these good companies. They generally do well. I'm not saying you should buy it. I'm just saying sometimes trust yourself and don't overvalue what these professionals say. You know, their advice, maybe some of them have better advice than others, but what I found from all the different types of people I've heard talk about it, you know, it's you never really can trust it. You know, I'd say trust the words of Warren Buffett, for example. He generally doesn't tell you specifically like, oh, to invest in this stock. He says how he's done his investing is just by thinking, this is a good stock, I'm going to buy this. And he doesn't buy it, look for it when it's as cheap as possible, or, you know, he doesn't really overthink when is the right time to buy it. He looks at a stock and he says, this is a good company, I'm going to buy shares in them. And he's done that throughout his career, and he has built a large amount of money just by being that efficient of an investor. And I think that way of investing is effective, you know. And you don't have to listen to that at all, but I'm just saying, I feel like you won't regret it. Cryptocurrency is the same stuff. I think a lot of it's more risky and more volatile, but there's more room for bigger returns. I don't actually own any crypto right now, but I'm definitely looking at buying some this year, getting into the crypto world. I think for the future, it's definitely a good idea. Obviously, buying Bitcoin is always good. Ethereum is definitely never a bad option. You know, I think that, yeah, I think that's the way of the future potentially. I'm not saying the stock market's gonna keep growing massively too, but the crypto is something else now we can sort of look at on top of it for investing, you know. And yeah, I think if you follow all these routines, you know, and you set yourself up, and in reality you need to realize yourself, if you're really struggling that hard, just get another job, get an evening job, get a weekend job, you know, stop being a bitch. In reality, if you want to build wealth for your future family, you need to stop being a bitch. Ultimately, that's the number one way to build money, to be honest. For anyone listening, if you're fucking broke, the number one way is literally just to stop being a bitch. I know that sounds harsh, but that's what I told myself after my first year in school, that I need to stop. First year out of school, I need to stop being a bitch, work hard, and either work hard, get skills, do things to benefit your life, to earn more money. You know, you can't just sit around just hoping that you're going to get rich, complaining about cost of living. You know, it's just never going to work. Being sorry for yourself is never going to work. You know, you need to get out there, chase the money, chase the bag, and ultimately you'll be successful like that. You're not going to be successful sitting around, you know. So get out there and do something right now to earn, you know, to benefit your life, instead of just, you know, fucking around all the time, you know.